it wasn't like a dream that I had, like, oh, I wanted to be a cafe owner. It just happened out of circumstance, really for survival. The landlord came up to us and said that we have to shut down the canteen. We were thinking like, oh no, this was our only source of income for my mom and I, and we were thinking like, how are we gonna pivot from here, you know?
Welcome to the One Day at a Time podcast, where we take things one day at a time. Today in the studio, we have Douglas.
Hello.
Hey, welcome
JJ.
to the studio, Douglas.
Thank you so much.
Can you do a quick introduction about yourself and what you do?
Yes, so my name is Douglas and I've been running Tolido's Espresso Nook Cafe for a good 10 years, coming to 10 years. And since last year, I've also started with my wife, Vivian, COTOB Coffee. So COTOB actually stands for Chip Off the Old Block, and we do boutique coffee cart events as well. So we go around, we do corporate events, weddings, workshops, and we just rove around and make yummy coffee for everybody.
Nice. Okay, so actually I invited Douglas on the podcast because we actually, I know Douglas for quite many years already, but I haven't seen you because of COVID and all that. Yeah. And we reconnected because you were doing your roving coffee cart at Google, which we attended an event at, right? And I was like, hey, shit, Douglas. Yeah, so I thought, hey, can bring Douglas on the podcast, you know. And I think generally in Singapore, and I think in many places, there are quite a lot of people, even like people around us are like our friends and everything, you know. I have heard people say like, you know, like, oh, my dream is to start a cafe, like and do coffee, you know, be a barista type of thing. And many people have dreams of starting a cafe, being a cafe owner, but I know that it is quite difficult, right? I think ACRA or like some government organization published some statistics saying that, like, I can't remember the exact statistics, but there's a very, very high amount of F&B businesses that close every year, right? Like it's like a 80-90% type thing, like pretty insane. So, you know, like for you, how did your whole, even though like it's very difficult, obviously, you've been in it for 10 years, how did your whole cafe journey begin?
Wow. So we had to rewind the clock back all the way to 2007. So 2007, I was like sec 3 lah. So my mom and dad opened this canteen in the Omni Theatre. So if you don't know where the Omni Theatre is, it's where Singapore Science Centre is, next to it. So it's in Jurong, and it's where you will watch all your documentaries in that ball-shaped theatre. So you watch anything to do with like astronomy or like things like that, science-y films, right? And we'll be the guys who serve your popcorn and hot dogs.
Nice.
Yeah, so we just serve like popcorn, hot dogs, and very simple food like pancakes and stuff, right? And I will go there and study for my exams. So once in a while I'll study, then I'll go help out. And then there was this coffee machine because my mom needs her coffee. She definitely needs a coffee. So we have a coffee machine there. And then I found out about this thing called latte art, which I thought was very cool. So it's like, wow, I didn't know you can actually like froth milk, pour in the coffee and then create patterns on it. So I was very intrigued by it.
Right.
So as a break from my studies, I will go to the coffee machine and then I'll ask my mom, hey, do you want coffee? No? And then I can practice and I'll make. So I'll make it and then I'll try. So I kind of like self-taught myself like how to make coffee like that. And what happened was because you have to, the thing about practicing latte art is that you kind of like waste the coffee. Once you make your coffee, then you throw it away. And then we don't have many customers in the Science Centre unless it's the school holidays. Now the primary school kids will come and all that, right? But on a normal day, it's like, I think almost 10 people will literally come and visit us. So we can't really like give, you know, we can't really like sell coffee. We don't have that volume. So I figured that, okay, I'll just drink it myself. So I drink it myself, right? And I realized that, hey, actually I like coffee. And it's strange because I started out hating coffee. I didn't like coffee. Yeah, because I'm an only child. So when my mom goes out, I'll just follow her. And she'll take like hours to finish like this small cup of coffee and I'll be bored to death. So I'll always ask my mom, like, why does it take so long to finish this cup, which is like so small, you know? It doesn't make sense to me. So I always had like a negative relationship with coffee. But because of like the latte art practice that I was doing, then I kind of forced myself, okay, just drink it. Like, if not, it's a waste. So I drink the coffee and I was like, hey, you know what? Actually, this is quite nice, you know? So I delved in deeper and I found out there's a whole science of extracting different flavors from the coffee, from all the way from like how it's harvested, how it grows, how it's roasted, and how you brew it, all the various ways, right? And I thought, wow, this is way more interesting than like the latte art part itself. So what I did was like I just went down that rabbit hole. And then before I know it, I've just, looks like I'm a barista now. Yeah. So I was just doing this in Science Center all the way until 2011, 2012 thereabouts.
Right.
And strangely enough, like as a canteen selling popcorn and hot dogs, we started to get a little crowd of people who enjoy our coffee.
Oh.
Yeah. So it's quite weird because we're not exactly a cafe, but yet there's like you get like your latte and all that.
Right.
So the people will be my guinea pigs. So then I will make coffee. They're like, do you like it? And then when they enjoy it, and then they order again, right? Then the kick I get out of that is like something that I really enjoyed. I really enjoyed like making people happy through coffee. And when they enjoy the coffee, then it's just very satisfactory for me. So then it makes me want to be better. And I just kind of like focus on that. So it became my routine that I'll go there and like just do my work, do my homework and stuff, and then I'll just hang around. And every time in school, I'll be thinking, okay, I can't wait to like go back and like make coffee again. I just really enjoyed that whole vibe of like making coffee for people, seeing regulars come back again.
Right.
Yeah, it was a very simple joy that I had. And so I was thinking, okay, this is just gonna be it for years. And then in 2012, the landlord came up to us and said that we have to shut down the canteen because they're going to demolish the Omni Theatre.
Right.
So they're going to demolish the Omni Theatre. So that means we were thinking like, oh no, like this was our only source of income for my mom and I. And we were thinking like, how are we going to pivot from here, My mom was a homemaker for a biggest part of my life. And we were thinking like, this is the only thing we know how to do. So I kind of like just discussed with her and I told her that, okay, I believe that your food is really nice because most of my mom's food also gets to be featured like in the Science Center.
Nice.
And I've been like making coffee for some years already. And I just took that leap of faith with her. They're like, okay, we're just gonna turn Tolido's into a cafe. So it's not gonna be a canteen. It's not gonna be, like snacks for the movies. It's gonna be an actual cafe. We're gonna find a place that, that actually has a door, because like our unit actually didn't even exist in the Science Center. It was the corner, like somewhere near the toilet, that kind of thing. Really very tiny corner there. But for the first time, we'll have our own space with doors that people could enter. And yeah, we just took that leap of faith that we're gonna turn it into a cafe. With my coffee, your food it's just all in. Let's do it. So it wasn't like a dream that I had like, oh, I wanted to be a cafe owner. It just happened out of circumstance, really for survival. It was like a survival mode. So we were scurrying around looking for a unit for Tolido's. We were looking left and right? And then we finally found Lavender. So we were deciding between Lavender or somewhere in Adelphi. And then we were just looking at the two, but somehow like the Lavender one just really I just had like a good vibe about it. And then I thought my mom, okay, this is the one. We're gonna move in here. So then we moved in October 2013. And then I remember we would bring all our home appliances. So we didn't have any like professional equipment. Everything was like you buy from like maybe Best Denki or that kind of thing. That's like appliances from home. Then
very
like your
makeshift.
kitchen, you got any extra one you bust to me and get from my grandma and all that, right?
Nice.
And then we'll just come out with a menu and see what happens. So the first few days as a test run, I also don't know like how I felt so inadequate as a barista because I never went through any training.
Right.
And I wasn't really in the community itself also. I just been like playing around, So I was just like, okay I'm just gonna give like some free coffee and get feedback and see how people enjoy our things. So literally one thing led to another. And I really just felt that like the right people came at the right time, and we had like we were very blessed with like wonderful customers as well who supported us. And I think it's really like your podcast, like one day at a time, right? We really just took it one day at a time. Yeah.
Dude, so I mean, the coffee and cafe life chose you.
Yeah. The coffee and cafe life chose me.
Yeah, in many ways, because you didn't start out, like you talk about like everything began in 2007.
Yes.
And it's not like at 13 years old or something, you had the dream of, oh, I want to do coffee, I want to make coffee.
Yeah.
Right? It just sort of happened, and with some struggles along the way, right?
Yes.
Everything sort of fell into place lah, and you discovered your passion in coffee, and essentially like connecting with people, right? Like through the medium, which is coffee.
Yeah.
Right, connecting with people, and I think that's very precious, because a lot of times, many people don't end up finding their passion or their what they love doing.
Right.
And I think you are quite lucky in a sense that that at a very young age, like you stumbled onto this thing where you decided this is gonna be the rest of my freaking life. This coffee thing, which you initially hated.
Yeah, which I initially hated. Yeah.
Most kids don't like coffee. I mean, as a kid, I also didn't really enjoy it. It's over time then it's like, actually quite nice.
Yeah.
Right? But then you took a step further. You went down the rabbit hole of like all the what are the different types of beans? How can you like extract different flavors? This sort of thing. And you really, really went down the rabbit hole. And right now you're running a very successful cafe. But actually before we continue to talk about coffee, I wanted to ask you, what is it like working with your mum? Because I think there are a lot of people who have reservations on working with family or people you're close to, because work is work. Like family and friends, like is different. Like the relationship is a little bit different from a working relationship. And I think a lot of people, like including myself, I have like a little bit of a fear of working with close friends and family, because sometimes when things get tough at work, as humans, we do get a little bit frustrated sometimes and things like that, and we don't want that to affect our family's relationship or like friendship and things like that. So working with friends is one thing, but like you're working with somebody that is obviously very important in your life, like with your mother. So what is your experience like working with such a close family member?
Wow, so I didn't have much time to think about the dynamics, because it was just really like a circumstance kind of thing, and we were in a fight and flight mode to really like survive and break even. So we just kind of like ran into it, and it kind of like feels like I adopted this like baby brother Tolido that I have to like look after. We both have to look after now, right? So how it looks like in a normal day, I mean, my mom and I were very close, but the thing was like when we started working together, I think the lines got blurred between mother and son, and then it kind of became like a boss and a staff, or like partners. It just like keeps morphing, right? So like our conversations about work will bleed to like the wee hours at like 12 a.m, 1 a.m, that kind of thing. So we forget sometimes that we're actually like mother and son. We don't really do the conventional things that mom and sons do lah. Yeah, so I think because of the adrenaline rush of just like the hustle and trying to break even, we never really had time to realize that this was happening for years. Only until like when things started to settle down, then we realized like, wow, actually it has taken a toll on our relationship. Yeah, it kind of like, then my mom will ask me like, hey, we used to be so close and everything. But then now it's like, we're just so objective about things. We can fight very badly also at times, because we both have very different working styles as well. So after a while, like, even until now, it's like the good thing is that my mom is fully retired. So for like a past, I think 2 years-ish, right? Like she has just been completely enjoying her best life now. And then we can see like the restoration happening, that like she really becomes more of a mom to me. And then I become more of a son to her also. And I think I commend her for that effort to also draw the line and not go in, because when you're so invested in this baby, right? And then for you to suddenly just like chop it off like that, right? It's not easy. Somehow like you will come to the cafe and then you'll see things like that thing shouldn't be there, it's supposed to be like this, like should we clean that up or that kind of thing. And it's very hard to let go. Yeah, even for me to this day, because it's your baby, right? Every little part of it is like so I understand that it was a journey for her to really let go to that point. But now it's like she won't even know what's happening in the cafe. And we'll meet for dinners like on Mondays, and then we'll just catch up. Hey, how are things and everything? And it's like a very nice picture for me. It's a faith picture for me, because I never had that. It's usually like we are both in it. We're both working together. Then we come back home. Dinner is not family dinner. It's after action review. So it's just this constant after action review, right? And it's just like, it's endless. That it just completely diminishes that mother and son family relationship. But now we're experiencing like a restoration. Yeah.
Nice. So it is tough. It is absolutely tough working with somebody who is very close to you in your life that is not a partner or employee.
Yeah.
Right. Because like you mentioned, and like my suspicion also is that it would change the dynamics, the interactions. Like you say, like dinners are after action review.
Yeah.
You know, kind of thing, which is which can be a good thing or a bad thing. But I guess thankfully over the years, which is actually many years, like a decade, like you said, after a decade, which is a long time.
Yeah.
You finally found your relationship back with your mother, not as a business partner, but as a family lah.
As a family.
Right?
Yeah.
And I think that's pretty amazing. I mean, at that time, like maybe, you know, when your mom was running that little snack store at the theater, and even until like you guys started Tolido's, I mean, she must have been quite old already, you know, in a sense, right? Because she's not like in her 20s or 30s, like with bringing your energy type lah, and like to kind of dive into this with you at that age, you know, like she was probably like 40 plus, 50 plus, something like that. It's actually pretty insane, right? Actually pretty amazing. Yeah, because it takes a lot for somebody to kind of have that mindset, have that attitude of, you know what, let's just go for it. Like you say, like fight or flight, because it could have been pretty easy, I think, for both of you to call it quits and you both go and look for like a day job lah. Right? I mean, it's not going to bring you like riches, happiness, success. Okay, I don't know. Quite unlike, the chances are lesser, right? But instead of doing that, which gives you somewhat of some kind of like financial security, both of you decided to dive headfirst into it lah, and it could have turned out very, very badly.
Yeah.
But over time, after like years of struggling, you found the perfect balance, right, between your passion and generating enough revenue to live a very comfortable life. Which obviously, the fact that your mom is now retired means like this shit worked out, right? After many years of grinding, like literally grinding beans and
literally
whatever.
grinding,
Literally grinding. It worked out, and I wanted to ask you, you know, like throughout the years of like starting, like, you know, like paying your first down payment for your rental, and then like the whole like buying like equipment and whatever. There's a lot of financial output, spending money on things.
100%,
I wanted to kind of ask you, as a cafe owner, like a first time cafe owner, you know, what is the biggest struggle that you face in your past 10 years of trying to build a sustainable cafe?
I think the biggest struggle is mainly these two things. And if you ask any F&B owner, they'll say it.
Okay.
It's rental and labor. These two. Yeah. Not just in cost, but I think also finding the right people is very tricky. Yeah, because there's a bit of a dilemma that we have in F&B. So for F&B, like most of us local Singaporeans, we want to start our own, which is great, right? But like it's very hard to find people who want to be hired or like working full-time F&B. And then you have the foreign staff who are more than willing and happy to work that job. But the thing is that you need Singaporean headcounts to be able to hire that foreign worker.
Right.
So then you just kind of like have this whole conundrum of finding the right people. So it's not as organic as being able to like interview and see like, I think you're a right fit. Because the biggest question people ask would be like, what's your work permit? Are you an S-Pass? Are you Singaporean? And you'll find a lot of advertisements outside. They'll say, preferably Singaporeans or PRs only, because they do not count in they don't need a head count basically. So that kind of like narrows down like your selection. And then from there, you have to find the right people who are willing to work for you as well. So I think that's like one of the biggest challenges. And F&B is really very labor intensive. Yeah, you have to be physically there, and people do look for you. If you're not there, then like they'll just know like, I'm usually there for this person or this barista or something. Not to pull a feather in my cap, but really people like look out for that. The people element is very, very important in F&B. So I think that part is is like one of the biggest challenges. These two, and it's a risk because you never know how long they will stay. A lot of them will probably like, you can teach them like how to make coffee well, how to like cook and everything, and most of them will probably like leave and start their own. That's like a very common problem. So not only are they learning, you're paying them, and then after that they go off and do their own thing. And Singapore is so small,
Right.
and so it just becomes a very highly saturated industry, very competitive, because like you can just walk a few more steps to another cafe, walk a few now, it's like another, right?
Right.
So it becomes very, very intense. Yeah, that pressure to really be competitive and like be at the top of your game.
Right.
Yeah, so I think these two are like the biggest challenges to consider when starting. And of course, like the upfront capital, like you said, is very, very high.
Yeah,
I think for my situation, our upfront capital cost was like is relatively low than those who really just out of planning, like, okay, I want to start like a nice cafe and everything, because we just brought everything we had from the science center to, to you know, and then what we did was like we just like did our best. We will open, I remember, from 9 a.m. to 10 p.m.
Long hours.
Every day, because we don't know what's the crowd like. We don't know whether like, we just want to try and grab as much as we can.
Yeah.
And we did break even. I mean, like, we're very blessed. We broke even in a year. But the thing is that you gotta consider the fact that like we barely spent on ourselves.
Right.
Yeah, and also we never paid ourselves as well.
Right.
So it's just pure profit. And I remember we broke even. It's like, yeah, $50. You know, then we just like, okay, $10 for you. Then like lemonade stand. You know.
Right.
So it's really that kind of like, I feel you need some sort of crazy to be able to want to go through that.
Dude, yeah. I mean, I 100% agree with you. I think a lot of people in the world, like, I think entrepreneurship is kind of painted in a very nice light, right? Especially with all your kind of videos encouraging people to be entrepreneurs, and it does bring like great rewards over time if you kind of keep at it and whatever. But I think there's this okay, I don't want to call it a misconception lah, but there's this like novelty like painted around entrepreneurship, being a business owner. That's very nice. They're like, wow, you are your own boss. You know, like your time is yours. You know, kind of thing. But like based on your experience and my personal experience as like being a freelancer and like running like businesses, is that technically yes lah, your time is yours. But at the same time, it's not. It's not, yeah. Because, you know, like at the end of every week or end of the month, you look at the Excel sheet, you look at the P&L, it's like, gotta pay the people, gotta pay the rent, you know, so you end up not paying yourself, right? You end up not paying yourself because you gotta take care of the people first, you gotta take care of the business first.
Yes.
So as the owner, as like the business partner or owner, you always get paid last.
Yeah.
And when you see that first cent that you pay yourself is super rewarding. Yeah. Right. It can be very rewarding. Like you say $50, like, there, you know. So I think I do think that running your own business and like being, you know, like doing business and everything is like super cool. And like you said, it takes a certain kind of crazy to kind of go into it, right? Because there are many people who have somewhat of a passion and all of that. But if the passion can only bring you that far, right? There's a lot of other things to consider and all of that. But everybody, of course, would like to make their passion their career, which you have thankfully over the years done. Yeah. But I'm sure there are days or nights when, you know, you clean up the cafe, you go home at 1 a.m. and then you'll be like, shit, man, do I really want to continue doing this?
Dude.
You know, because I'm sure at some point, even like especially before you broke even, like you can't really see the light at the end of the tunnel yet. Right. It's very, very difficult to trust the process and be like, you know, like keep going. Right. So like could you like maybe share with us or describe a little bit on, you know, one of these nights or days where you felt like, man, like, you know, like a lot of doubt, like maybe you want to give up already, and like what kept you going?
I think what kept me going was the need to pay the bills, man.
I mean, honestly, okay, but you could be like, you know, let's just break the list, call it quits, I go and find a job. You know,
actually,
you could, but you didn't.
That's the funny thing. When you mention it, I also thought that actually, like at different junctures, right, my mom and I could have just called it quits, and she could have just like you know, go on her merry way, and then like I would probably just get a more corporate job or something like that, right?
Correct.
But I don't know, there's just this hanging thing that I want this to succeed. I think it's that it's just like I can't see myself quitting on this thing. I don't want to fail in this thing, you know. Like I think it's gone to the point that we've gone so far we've put everything all in. I want to commit and I want this to really prosper. I want this to grow. I want us to be able to get through the light at the end of the tunnel, you know?
Right.
So I think just holding on to that vision, right, is what really kept me going. And of course, like there's the financial need as well to be able to break even, to be able to, make a living and all that, right? So you combine all these things together and really just like the ambition of seeing this a success, right? I think that's what really got us through. And like you mentioned also about like my mom's age, right?
Yeah.
I really see that I think she's probably the strongest woman I know, because for her to be in the kitchen like in her 50s and dealing with that kind of volume as well, she also had that passion and that grit to really want to make this like happen, to make this a success. So I think everyone's combined efforts of being aligned to really like want to make this a success, right, is I think it helps. It's a group thing. Like you can't like I can't like myself alone be like running the ship and be able to have all my determination to bring us forward. I can't. I mean, honestly, I had to sacrifice like my social life in that time when my friends would go out for drinks and all that. Then I will either like give it a miss, but 90% of the time, right, I will do it and then I'll just die the next morning.
Right.
Like I remember like I'll have a hangover, right, and the espresso haven't dialed in yet and I'll be sleeping in my mom's car just for like half an hour. Is I'm not very proud of it lah, but then like I'll just like tahan and after okay, I'll go there and make coffee and everything. So I really try to have everything, but then like my health will suffer.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you something has to give. And I don't know, just focusing on that goal and just wanting to see this through. I think it's a very personal goal. It's not really to make money. I think if people feel that F&B is a lucrative industry, it's not, man. The margins are really low.
Yeah.
Like don't do it to flip or like don't do it to like earn big bucks. It's not like that. It's really a lot of commitment. And if you really have to be passionate about it, like you say.
Yeah, dude. I mean, what you just described just now reminded me of a conversation I had with this guy called Gerald, who started this this whole community website called Geek Culture. They do like tech reviews, like they're huge on online, on Facebook, YouTube, and whatever. And he was in the studio, so we were having this conversation. And your what you mentioned kind of reminded me of something that he said, which is that sometimes if you're really passionate about something,
right,
you have to suffer for your craft.
Yeah.
Which is exactly what you're describing.
Yeah.
And I start to notice a little bit of this pattern amongst people who are, I would say, like somewhat successful over time, right? You didn't start your cafe and suddenly in 1 year you became a great cafe, right?
Yeah.
You really had to suffer for, like you said, like, you had to choose between your social life and like building the business and like the physically health wise. If you choose both, you die. Literally, like you feel like dying kind of thing.
Yeah.
And I think that's something that's very important. There's something that's very important that I think this word passion is very hard to pinpoint like what exactly is passion, but without this thing called passion, and if passion and your love for the craft is not the centerpiece, it's a lot easier to kind of give up. And like for you, just now I asked you, actually you can just quit, like when times are tough, right? You can just quit and go and get a job. I'm sure you can, like you are a university graduate, right? You can get a freaking job lah. I'm sure your mom, you can, all of you can get a decent job somewhere. But that wasn't even in the back of your mind. That wasn't even in the cards for you, right? Because like you said, you didn't start this thing to make money. Not really. You started this thing because of this passion that you had about with coffee and like basically being of service, hoping people that come in, they will feel like, hey, I've had a great time, right? And I personally, have been lucky enough to witness in the beginning when I first knew you, like many years ago. I remember like once in a while I would like we would go to a cafe and like I bring people hang out there, and it was no need to queue one lah. I can just walk in. Which is great for me. Not great for you lah, right? Okay, for you, it's great for me. You can just walk in. But like these days, since like I think maybe 1 year before COVID, or like about right before COVID, right? Like your cafe was like freaking need to queue one, like no joke. Until you kind of got a clipboard, then need to write the name. I think had to wait like damn freaking long. And that was like your turning point, right? Like how many years of running the cafe and like kind of, I don't want to use the word struggling lah, but how many years even though like, break even, like what was that point where, how long did it take to get to that point where like, it's like, doing well, how long did it get there? Did it take to get there?
I would say it took about 5 years plus. Yeah, but it wasn't like an instant thing. It was a very gradual move, It's like I said earlier, so like whatever we earn, we'll just save, reinvest it in the business. How can we make things better? And then we just keep on this like rinse, wash and repeat cycle.
Right.
And then before you know it, like 5 years has gone. It really just passes by. I feel like the initial stage, right? The time will just fly like, you don't know where all the years has gone. No? It's very scary. Before I know it, it's like, oh my gosh, I'm 25. Then I'm like, then we start to see that, okay, there's a crowd. There are regulars that people will come back again. And then that becomes the time where you want to focus on being consistent. Like this works, how can we maintain it? Or how can we make it a bit better?
Right.
And I think that part is easy when you're the one behind the bar. The biggest challenge came when I had to be out of the bar.
Right. You had
to go out and about, right? And then to this day, to like now, it's still like the biggest challenge because it's really near impossible to expect like your staff to have the same standards as you as the owner. So it's
I feel I really feel you.
And it's a very hard pill to swallow because like you started, let's say like, you started your business, right? You know the ins and outs and everything about it and how it works, right? And it's just natural that you would think that everyone should see that this is not making sense, right? And then when they don't see it, then you feel frustrated. Like, why can't you see this? Like, is it just me? It feels very lonely, right?
Yeah.
But then I start to realize that it's because it's not their own business, so they can't help it. Yeah, so I'm in this season of learning to be more patient, learning to like make things more standardized and becoming a trainer rather than training myself. There's that very big shift from like you're so good at what you do to changing to become good at making people good at what you're doing. Yeah.
I feel I had to 100% relatable because it is. I think that is also a very big problem that a lot of business owners and freelancers face because at some point there's only so many things you can do yourself. You need to have a team. You need to work with people. Yeah. But at the same time, it is very unfair to ask any employee or anybody who doesn't really have a stake in the business to put in that kind of blood, sweat, tears that you put inside because it is very unfair. I mean, I wouldn't do it for another business also, right? I would, right? So you cannot expect that from people. And like for many years, like especially these few years, I also like you, I'm trying to learn, trying to contend with that how, we sometimes have to learn how to just let things go and not expect people to have that kind of same work ethic as us because they don't have skin in the game. My friend Isaac always says they don't have skin in the game. We just have to live and let live. And sometimes if they screw up, if the clients are unhappy, if the customers are unhappy, we just have to take the hit because we are the business owner. It's our business, right? Yeah. So we just have to take the hit. And for many years I cannot contend with that. It's like because of a mistake that not I make, right? Then I have to say sorry, but very, very hard to but I think over the years I also realized that it's true because it is our thing, it's our brand, our business or whatever. And you always will have to kind of contend with that unless you just do everything alone, which is possible, but it's not scalable. At some point your health's gonna take the hit also. So we just gotta learn how to trust. Which is very hard. Which which I know I can feel you completely relate to it because it's but I guess you for Tolido's you have somewhat gotten to a place where it is still a challenge, but there's some form of stability there. You kind of know how to approach it. Once in a while, there comes maybe a difficult situation, but you manage it. Yeah. Right. And because after years of grinding and learning all these things, which I feel like is very, you're like what, 30 this year?
I'm 31 this year.
31 this year. So like literally more than half your life, you have been freaking grinding. Yeah. And like and you're still grinding. Yeah, right? Still grinding. And you after Tolido sort of became stable after like what, more than a decade of like grinding, it sort of became stable. Like, hey, okay, it's you just kind of gotta continue to steer the ship, but you don't really have to like chip at it, like every single day, every single minute of your life anymore.
Yes.
You kind of started another coffee business.
Yes.
By chance also, right?
Yeah, this one is a lot more by passion. Really, like so basically, what you're mentioning is chip off the old block. Yeah. So how it happened was in 2019, so this was before COVID, right? Just before. Vivian and I, so Vivian's my wife, Vivian and I, we had this idea of making coffee outside the cafe. So we built a coffee cart and then we decided to make coffee for events. And fun enough, like we actually did 3 events, but then COVID hit, right? So COVID hit, we're like, oh no, we can't do it. So we just thought, okay, it's a closed door. So then everything went back in the warehouse, the investment, the machine, all that. We thought, okay, never mind, it was fun while it lasted. So it just stayed in the warehouse. Then Vivian and I got married, then we moved in, and then we're thinking like, hey, there's this coffee machine that's just hanging out there. Why don't we put it in our house, And it's quite funny because like our house is like, it's a nice cozy home, and then there's this espresso machine that's on steroids that's in our house making coffee, right? So we'll just literally like hog this machine to ourselves to make coffee for ourselves. And lo and behold, one day when I was making coffee, the smell of coffee, it travels far, right?
Yeah.
So our neighbors are opposite us, right? We have this lobby, there's like 4 of us. So our neighbors opposite us smelled the coffee, and then they started texting us like, whoa, dude, the coffee smells damn nice. I'm actually like hosting a friend. Can I get a coffee and buy one from you? Yeah, so we're thinking like, hey, you're a neighbor, I don't need to buy coffee, I'm not even selling, But then like very paiseh, right? But then they insisted, and they said, okay, no, I'll buy a coffee from you. Like, what's this, like $5 or something? So I literally made coffee for our neighbors. So then Vivian and I suddenly had this idea of selling coffee to our neighbors as a home business. Because you have, in COVID, you have tons of home bakers, you have like home businesses selling delivery, like snacks and goodies.
Correct.
But coffee wasn't done. So then we started doing research like, oh, okay, this is what you need to do for a home business. And it's very different from the cafe. So we decided, okay, you know what? We're just gonna open on Wednesday mornings and Saturdays and sell coffee to our block. And that's one meaning of chip off the old block, because we are selling coffee to our block.
Nice.
Yeah, so then we will just post it online. We sell our Instagram, and then we had this like website where you can book your timing, where you can order your coffee and collect it.
Oh, dude, so it became legit.
Yeah. So there's like a timing, right? And then we'll just like sit on our laptops and wait. And then like ding, oh, one order, So like I remember it's really just like it's really like a flashback of what happened to Tolido. It's like, yeah, $50, right? And then this one's like, yeah, $5 in a day kind of thing.
Yeah.
So we started off as that. Then our neighbor next door also, they have like a kid, right? Then we'll make that kid baby chinos. So we started to get to know the neighborhood a lot more because of COTOB. And somehow the word spread to other blocks. The other blocks started ordering. And somehow the word spread to outside our neighborhood. So other houses would find our link and actually order. And then we are like thinking, but how do you enter like our house, So then we thought of like the drive-through thing, because like at the lobby of our house, there's a pickup point. So then we told people that you can tell the security that it's a pickup or a drop off, and then we'll be there to
give you the
coffee. Yeah, and it actually went viral when we posted that video of drive-through coffee, because like people think, there's drive-through coffee in Singapore. But
and that was also during like the lockdown period, right?
This was this was during like when it started to ease off.
Right.
Yeah. So one thing led to another. And then we started hosting people in our home. Like, you have private dining experiences. Then how about private coffee experiences? So then we started like inviting people to our home. And as an introvert, like it was my biggest nightmare, because like my home is like my sanctuary, and then now there's random people in my house. Oh my gosh.
Right.
Yeah. And then so we started like, having like a coffee omakase of sorts, like I'll have filter coffee and I'll have these different beans, and then they get to see me brew it in our home. So it's a very personal thing. And it was fun for a bit, because we just did it like a few times. Then after that, it got really tiring. Yeah. And then things opened up. So when things opened up, right, then Vivian and I were thinking, shall we get back to events? Shall we do events? And really, right time and right place. Before that, Vivian had a job in an events company. So she's very experienced and very good with liaising and dealing with the whole operations of events. So we combined the two of us together. We gave birth to, COTOB Coffee. So COTOB Coffee is kind of like our own baby, our first baby in a sense.
Right.
And then so we started last year, and then we started bringing for all sorts of events, and it's been such a journey. It's been wonderful. We've been doing that. I think our first ever event was in May, last year, May. And then we've been just doing it all the way until now. And it's taken us like really all sorts of places, because very different from Tolido's is that you brew in one location, people come to you. But then for COTOB is we brew at their location.
Right,
and
you
we
bring
go
it to
them.
Yeah.
So our heart of Chip Out the O Block is that we want to really bring that high quality coffee to our clients. We want to go there and physically make the coffee and really make it as best as possible for them. And not just like coffee as in nice tasting coffee, but also coffee experiences, like coffee to impress the guests, coffee to really just have a good time of fellowship in their various events, maybe for weddings and things, and even workshops as well.
Right.
So that the whole concept of COTOB, it can be just so morphed into anything. That we do all sorts of really fun projects, and it's a blessing, So we feel like the skills that we've gathered in our respective lives has kind of like come to this point that we get to be a blessing to others as well.
To give back, right?
To give back,
Yeah, and like this whole thing started so organically. Literally, there was no intention of even making this like a income source for you.
Yeah, it was a passion project.
It was really word of mouth, like 100% word of mouth.
Yeah.
And it's so amazing. And I think like your entire journey, starting at the Omni Theatre, just like making like shit ass coffee probably at that time, right? And like learning how to get do better. And then like with Tolido's, like struggling to pay the bills and all that, like keep the cafe afloat with your mom. And like now you're married and you started a new passion project which became a business also. And like everything that you have shared, I think reminds me of something that I feel is very important. And like the biggest takeaway from our conversation today for me and for anybody that's listening, I think a lot of times in life, right, like I meet so many people like you, it's very, very difficult to pursue your passion and make your passion your career, right? Pick your passion. But I think like seeing so many success stories, I wouldn't say, people define success differently, right? Some people define success as, you own a GCB or multiple properties, you own, like multi-millionaire sort of thing. Like, some people define success that way, but I meet a lot of people like you, and based on my own personal experience as well, I think as long as we keep at it, we really follow what we love doing, that keeps us going, right? Because if you really, really love what you do, even though it might not be very financially rewarding, to be able to wake up every single day, even though it's like freaking tiring, and to love what you do is not something that everybody have, right? I mean, of course, like you said, it takes a certain kind of crazy to be like that. But even though it's like heck as tiring, if you keep at it, it like the first thing is, if you love what you do, it hardly feels like work, even though yes, like it can be physically tiring, right? And if you choose to pursue what you love, even though it might be very, very difficult in the beginning for many years, I have had enough experiences myself, and I have talked to enough people like you to realize that, if you really just learn to find what you love and keep doing what you love, the universe will reward you at some point. That's my personal belief. And like talking to you today has reminded me of that, because it's there are days where it's tough, as you know, there are days where it's tough, but if we keep at it, my personal belief and experience has shown me that the universe does reward you and give you great things if we can just continue to learn how to love, give back to others, and just do what we love, because that is the fundamentals of living a fulfilling life, right? Because there's no point going to work at a huge company making 20, 30, 50k a month and being like ultra unhappy right? Obviously a happy guy, right? And I 100%. Don't think that happy guy comes from you having a lot of money. I think the happiness comes from the content of you being able to do what you love and share your love with other people. Right?
100%.
So that's my takeaway.
Wow, that's awesome.
Right? I mean, I'm sure you maybe like people don't usually put it into words like how I just described it, because I'm just putting it how my brain is like putting it, right?
Right.
But do you think so as well?
I think so too. And I feel that when it comes to, like people talk about work-life balance, right? But for me, I feel like I experience work-life harmony.
Shit, this is what I always say. Wait.
Are you serious, really?
No, I don't not exactly, but like people always say like, oh, work-life balance. I tell them I don't have work-life balance. I have work-life integration.
Integration, integration, yeah.
My work is my life. My life is also my work.
Yeah.
And sometimes I go to like work events or whatever. It's like I just come ask a few friends to come and hang out or whatever. So it's like I get to do the hanging out part, but I also get to do the work part.
Yeah.
Same for you, right?
Yeah, same. So it just becomes part of life. It doesn't become like in a box that, okay, this is work, and then after that is life, It's not. It's really like integrated. And I feel like to be able to be happy with that kind of integration means like I'm really doing something that I love. Yeah. And even though for me, like I actually was interested in music way before coffee.
Right.
Yeah. And I thought that perhaps that was the path that I was going to. But I remember that my mom told me these words, right? So she shared with me when I was young that whatever you do, just do the best that you can. Whatever it is, like you want to commit to it, it can be anything, but like if you do the best you can, like somehow like you will profit from this, somehow you will gain from this. And I really believe it, like, the same way that how like if you just like find that thing that, I believe that each of and every one of us have a certain, like a certain gift, somehow, and when we find that gift and when we just focus on it, I think the focus part is very important. When you focus on it, right, you won't believe like what you can receive from it. Not just monetarily, it doesn't have to be monetarily like you say.
Yeah.
It can just be like this quiet confidence and this quiet happiness that no one can take away from you. And something that money cannot buy. Yeah, granted, like you're earning way less than like corporate giants, but somehow like you're just happy, and somehow like it's okay, you have enough.
Right.
Yeah, so I think even though like I came from that environment where it was really about paying the bills, right?
Right.
But here I am today, like being able to live comfortably, live happily, and then like I'm happily married as well. And now we have like another thing, and who knows what we're gonna have in the future as well.
Right.
Yeah, so I think in different life seasons, like that passion can morph to anything that you want.
Right.
Yeah, because I also think that like if I was single all the way, what will I have done? If I was single all the way, because I won't have a family to look after and things like that, right? But I cannot be happier with where I'm at. Now like with Vivian, and then like for us in the future, planning a family and everything, right?
Right.
It's just like it's so fulfilling. Yeah.
Not without its challenges though, right?
Not without its challenges,
but I mean, for you and me, like I mean, as much as humanly possible, we try to focus on the good things in life and not focus too much on what we don't have, what are the things that we cannot control, basically.
Yeah.
And like what you said just now, which I definitely 100% resonate with, it's that sometimes the rewards don't always come financially, but that kind of like undescribable content, maybe not even happiness, undescribable content that you feel doing what you love is sometimes ROI enough.
Yeah.
Right. And like over time, if you are really content, really happy, the practical things, the financial rewards will come. We just have to learn how to trust the process. Yeah. Which is the hardest thing to do. Yeah. Because when you cannot see the light at the end of the tunnel and you don't know where you're driving, if you just keep driving, you just keep going, it sometimes you can lose faith. Right. You can lose vision, you can lose sight of why you even got into this whole thing. But like you say, like if you just keep at it and you are content, the financial rewards do come. Like of course, again, you're not like freaking right. You're not exactly right. Yeah. But you have enough to pay for everything that you want. Yes. You live a good life. Yeah. And you on a Wednesday morning, you come here and do this with me when other people have to check into their office.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's another thing. Like the good thing about doing your own thing is that you don't have to apply for leave. But then, like you say, your time is rubber. So you also don't get to apply for leave in a bad way also. That like if something bad happens, you can't like take an MC. You gotta be down there, you know.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Which is also very important to have very supportive family members, friends, partners.
Yeah.
I remember I try not to do this, it's not very good, but I remember I was on my honeymoon in Switzerland at the top of the freaking mountain, and I had to reply emails. Because
man.
It's your business, right? It's your thing, and if you don't do it, then who's gonna do it?
Yeah.
Who's gonna do it? But at the same time, like that whole work-life integration thing is very important. Like I'm sure you do, you know as well, you need to spend time with your friends, your family, and still keep the relationships that you treasure going and not be. It's a very fine balance,
Yeah.
Because sometimes when you get too into like building the business and working, you can go overboard. But if you don't, if you like completely cut, then that's not great either.
Yeah.
So that it's a very fine balance.
100%.
Right?
I love what you said about how, it's important to really have that support system. So for me, Vivian really helps me to not go overboard because I tend to be a grabber out of muscle memory,
Right, me too, yeah.
You just tend to like, every gig I can just take, But I realize like at what cost? It will affect our marriage, it will affect our health, affect quality time. And all these things are like, I see them as glass balls that will break if I drop them. But I start to see that work and like what we do is a rubber ball that can bounce. It's okay to drop. It's okay to like, it's really okay to not be okay at times.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I from there, Vivian has really taught me the art of being able to just say no sometimes. As painful as it is, because it's like, no, I'm saying no to income. Why would I even do this, right? I mean, like, here I am hustling to get leads and then like I'm saying no to them,
Right.
But then I realized that it's just like getting my priorities straight.
Dude, 100%. I really, really resonate with this. I'm also like you in some ways. Like it's not like I hustle and it's like keep building. Then when opportunities come and we have to learn how to sometimes say no because like what you said, at what cost?
Yeah.
I always say this because I teach, right? I always say this to my students. And I had a very in-depth discussion about this with my friend Isaac also. It's like, can is can.
Yeah, can is can.
But should you? Because like you said, at what cost, right? Yeah, maybe I make $100,000 from this deal, but I suffer so much in that period of time servicing the customer or the client that this no amount of money is worth that kind of like suffering or like, so it's again a fine balance because you also can go the other way that says like everything don't need, everything also don't need, everything also don't want, then you cannot build the business anymore.
Right?
So again, it's the balance.
It's the balance.
Well, Douglas, I think you have said a lot of things today that I personally resonate with, and it kind of reminded me that people who choose to pursue their passion, people like us, a bit crazy, as long as we continue to trust the process, no matter what we choose to do, like you say, the passion can morph over time. No matter what I choose to do, as long as we continue to trust the process, it's gonna work out at some point, right? And we just have to learn how to take it one day at a time.
Yeah, one day at a time.
Hey, thank you so much for sharing. I think if anybody is watching today and or listening to the podcast, they would like to kind of give a try, maybe engage you to do like a mobile coffee cart at their company or event, where can they actually find you online? Can you share with us?
Yes, so for COTOB Coffee, you can follow us on our Instagram at COTOB Coffee. So you can just DM us, you can send us an email, you can click on the link and just like send your inquiry. We're happy to brew for you guys. And if you want to come down and have a good time, you can go to our cafe at Tolido's Espresso Nook. So our Instagram is TOLIDOS Nook and OK.
Nice. Okay, so just a quick disclaimer for Douglas is that if you're planning to go on to the cafe, please go early, especially if you're going on weekends, because the queue can be sometimes pretty insane. So if you are planning to go to the cafe, do you accept reservations?
No,
right?
Yeah, we're all walk-ins only.
Yeah,
but
correct.
I recommend going like my favorite time to go to the cafe, even personally for me, is the afternoons, like the 2 p.m. timing.
Right.
But honestly, like weekday mornings, they're pretty chill. You come around like 8+9, you're good. Yeah.
The Saturday Sunday brunch crowd is the most insane.
Yeah, that one is quite crazy.
Right, it's like absolutely insane. So if you're, but that's mostly most people's time. That's
Most
when they're
people's
free.
time. Yeah,
So if you're planning to go down, my recommendation is just wake up a bit earlier and go earlier so that you don't have to queue so long. And you won't regret it. Right? Quote me. Don't quote me, but you won't regret it. All right.
Thanks,
Thank you
man.
so much, Douglas, for coming down. I really, really appreciate the genuine conversation.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a great honor to be here. I really enjoyed the conversation too. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Douglas. And we'll see you next time on the One Day at a Time podcast. Peace.